1.
Live and coming to you from the live on Facebook. And coming to you from the fabulous Sunset Strip in Hollywood, California, it's the Bob Dean Show.
Yay!
This is episode 74. Yay! Of the show. Very happy to say. Before I get started on introductions, I want to do my usual, speaking only for myself. My show does not endorse Wells Fargo Home Mortgage because they are crooks, nor the billing department at Tower Urology because they are crooked as well. And with that being said, moving on, we want to welcome back Kathy St. George. Yay,
Yay.
Kathy! She's been gone for over a month, all over the fabulous United Nations and islands south. Dennis Olson's here with us today. Sammy Jr., our producer, hey. We also want to give a big shout out to Zach Herndon in Bloomington, Indiana. Hey, Zach. What was I going to say? Oh, because he is my website coordinator and original staff member. Today we are welcoming Nicole Fedor Summerfield and her father, John Fedor. Yay! Welcome. Okay, before I forget, I will be performing, those of you that are watching live on Facebook, I will be at the Ha Club tonight. That's Monday, June 3rd, tonight, with the Grab the Mic comedy gang. It's going to be a great show. Doors open at 8. Show starts at 8:30. Please come on out, get off your asses, and come on down to the show. And let's see, any other than that? I don't think there's any other news, and we'll report during the way. Nicole is going to say that this isn't the truth, but Nicole is my first friend on August 4th, 2004, when I cruised into LA in my Buick Roadmaster station wagon with the U-Haul on the back. It was actually August 5th we met. Okay. Yes. And my car was still in the U-Haul, and I go, "Hi, I'm your new neighbor, Bob D from Nashville, Tennessee." And she went, "Ugh."
Who wouldn't? Totally not true.
Nicole lived downstairs. Those of you that have been to the fabulous Happy Birthday Baby Jesus cocktail soiree at my dingy stoner pad. Nicole lived in the little, her adorable little efficiency apartment at the time downstairs. And it was a match made in heaven. We were like brother and sister. We were together all the time because it was just like living in the same apartment with an outdoor staircase until she got her first iPhone. Then it was all downhill. I didn't even know what an iPhone was, and Nicole got the first one. And we used to sit and we'd cook dinners and watch movies and take walks and go to Blockbuster when it was still there and get videos and, have a wonderful time. And then one day she comes in with this pink square thing, and all she did was... I lost her forever.
I'm here now?
I know, but it's true, though. You were a textorama.
Progress.
Yeah, kids today. And John, her dad from York, Pennsylvania. Miss Marianne Fedor. Hi, Marianne. Hope you're watching on Facebook. And Ben Summerfield, Nicole's fabulous husband. They're down in Long Beach. And so, John, I'm so happy to see you. I met you and your lovely wife several years ago when you came to visit your daughter. And we became fast friends. And you were at the Happy Birthday Baby Jesus cocktail soiree, 7, 8 years ago? Yeah. It's been a while. But you always call on Christmas Eve. Uh-huh. And the Christmas Eve before last is when I just got in that new car, and Nicole and I were sitting outside in the car talking when you called, and I go, "Oh, it's your dad." And she's like, "What is my dad?" Like, he calls me every Christmas Eve. So how's it going, buddy?
Well, I'm here for a purpose.
Uh-oh, what could that be?
Oh, little do you know, besides I'm Nicole's father, I'm the exalted hibernator of the York Slumbering Groundhog Lodge.
Wait, say that again, please.
And
you are. Please repeat that entire sentence. You are the
exalted hibernator of the York Slumbering Groundhog Lodge.
And this is when I crawl under the table.
Well, tell us what that means.
That means every February 2nd, my family disowns me. Now, just to set things straight, we are the third oldest groundhog lodge in the nation. Punksatawny Phil is the first. Of course, it's up in Punksatawny, up in north central part of Pennsylvania in the mountains, okay, in Jefferson County. But we're the third oldest. The second oldest is Octorara Orphe. Now, Octorara is a township in southern Lancaster County, which is just across the river from York County, the Susquehanna River. Okay, and So they're the second oldest, and we are the third. Now, we have our groundhog. His name is Poor Richard, but he's been dead for 23 years. So we have what's called a grand communicator, and he communicates every Groundhog Day, early in the morning. He communicates with Poor Richard up in hog heaven. Don't laugh, this is true.
I call it.
I believe it.
And up in hog heaven. So when we get the prognostication, we get it directly from hog heaven. We don't have to worry about the shadows, you know, if the groundhog saw a shadow or not. Our groundhog has been dead for 23 years, so, and we've been doing really good. We have over an 88% correct rating as far as determining the weather situation for the 6 weeks.
88%?
88% correct.
With the dead groundhog.
I was just
Well,
thinking
no,
that
but
with
the
the dead
ground is communicating. Poor Richard communicates with who?
With our grand communicator. His name is George Skip Lehman.
Who's
I
he?
used to be the grand communicator, and when I was a grand communicator, they asked me how I communicate with them, and I told them Gmail. Groundhog mail. That was before Google ever even thought about it.
What do you have with you today, John?
Well, what I have with me is the morning agenda of the York Slumbering Groundhog Lodge. Okay.
Now, do you wear like groundhog style caps or anything?
Well, we wear white gowns, white. You want to call it?
No hoodies though, right?
No hoodie.
Just checking.
I wear a white top hat, and everyone else wears black top hats.
Really?
Okay, we have our insignia on our gown, and we meet the first, the 2nd of February every year.
Just once a year.
7:15 in the morning, we have the Groundhog services. We have a proclamation, we have a prayer, opening ode, a memorial poem, and then the Groundhog. We initiate new members. They're Groundhog babies. Now, they have a baby bonnet with a picture of a groundhog on. And
Wait, we're talking about we're talking about adult males.
after we initiate them, and females,
Okay, and females.
they must bend over and kiss their dead groundhog. We have them stuffed.
I was gonna ask. if
No
it was
tongues
taxidermy.
Anyway,
Thank goodness.
We
these
are,
groundhog babies,
we are so flying to York next February.
these groundhog babies are initiated, and then they kiss them. Then they do the obligation pledge, the groundhog creed, and the kissing of the Richard. But then we have 4 squad reports: north, south, east, and west squads report what they went out to look at and see if they've seen any groundhogs and what's going on. Some say it's all done in prose. Okay, so and then after that we have the official prognostication by me, and then we have the closing ode, and our proclamation. If you want me to read it, I'd
Yes,
be happy
please.
to read it.
The proclamation of the
York Slumbering Groundhog Lodge.
York Slumbering Groundhog Lodge.
Okay? Our persistent search for knowledge has prompted us to assemble annually at the lodge of the slumbering groundhog to hear the revelation from the spirit of Poor Richard regarding the description of the weather from this date until 6 weeks hence. Poor Richard has not failed to communicate with this conclave for lo, these many years, 80, well now it's 91 years, okay, to be exact. And although his prognostication has been very difficult to decipher by the commoners, the aristocracy of the lodge has found no problem comprehending the elation and warmth of camaraderie found there. The squad leaders of the 4 territories have assisted quite capably in their diligent search for the county for other woodland creatures who would proclaim the veracity of Poor Richard's prognostication. The spirit of Poor Richard has stated quite sagaciously that winter chill invades us and hung in there tenaciously. This caused the hibernating marmots to awaken voraciously. Not to mention that the pent-up energies caused a fury animal to behave somewhat fallaciously. The urge to satisfy one's cravings must be controlled emphatically. To offer wise counsel and prognosticate dramatically, so all must read the calendar to learn that systematically, winter demise will not surprise our yearnings mathematically. Now, the official opening prayer, if anyone believes in...
Wait, I want to take a break for a second and ask you this. Groundhog Day. Now, did this originate with this society? What do we know about the origin of going to Groundhog coming out 6 more weeks of winter if he sees a shadow? Where did that all start? Do you,
Well, that
do you
all
know?
started
Does
in
the society,
Germany.
can they tell us?
That was in Germany a long time ago with the winter solstice, and I have that here somewhere, but
Oh, the history of okay.
yeah, but what I'm really here for is to honor you.
Me?
Yes, I want you to be an official groundhogger.
I'd be honored.
Now there's some things you're going to have to do. Okay. First of all, I have here our 90th anniversary Slumbering Groundhog card for you.
Thank you very much. 90th York, PA, Slumbering Groundhog Lodge member, Bob Dean. Yeah.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. I beg
no,
your
no,
pardon.
not yet.
I beg your pardon. I've been presented with a card
Unofficially.
unofficially.
Yeah. And then what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to take the creed, the obligation, and you're gonna have to repeat after me. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I believe in the wisdom of the groundhog.
I believe in the wisdom of the groundhog.
I believe his intelligence
I believe his intelligence
to be of a higher order
to be of a higher order
than that of any other animal.
than that of any other animal.
From the tick of the blackberry
From the tick of the blackberry
to the elephant of the jungle.
to the elephant of the jungle.
I rejoice that he can and does
I rejoice that he can and does
foretell with absolute accuracy
foretell with absolute accuracy
the weather conditions
the weather conditions
for the 6 weeks
for the 6 weeks
following each second day of February.
following each second day of February.
To defend him,
To defend him,
his family,
his family,
and his reputation,
and his reputation,
I pledge myself.
I pledge myself.
I welcome him to my fields.
I welcome him to my fields.
I would stay the hand of the man
I would stay the hand of the man
who would excite
who would excite
and ruffle his temper
and ruffle his temper
or slay him.
or slay him.
To defend him with all my might
To defend him with all my might
and at all hazards,
and at all hazards,
I pledge myself
I pledge myself
to my manservants
to my manservants
and my maidservants,
and my maidservants,
my oxen
my oxen
and my asses,
and my asses,
and my assets as a whole,
and my assets as a whole.
so help me.
So help me.
Now, you can repeat with me the Groundhog Creed. I expect to pass through this world but once.
Wait, together?
Yes.
I expect to pass through this world but once.
Any
Any
good,
good,
therefore,
that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to my fellow creatures, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again.
Well, since we don't have our dead groundhog
I
and
know, I was
stuff
hoping you
here,
brought it.
okay?
I'm
I
honored.
have
Is
a
this him
dancing
here?
groundhog I could have
Can I
brought.
kiss the paper?
At home.
Kiss the picture of it.
You can kiss this koozie right here.
Kiss the
Where's
koozie.
that?
Kiss that koozie.
There he goes.
Yay!
Yay.
Thank you.
You're
I am
now an
honored.
I love
Official
it.
member of the York Slumbering Groundhog Lodge.
Thank you. Founded in 1928. I am honest to
That's
God
awesome.
flattered. Thank you.
And
wait.
aren't you glad you live in Los Angeles?
I was going to say.
Because this is what's going on in the rest of the country, boys and girls.
And the 4-H
I'm looking
club.
for a sloth lodge because I'm really good at that.
Well,
They're
now,
kinda cute.
Now, a little known fact,
Slumbering sloth.
okay, where our creed came from. Okay?
I love it.
This creed is actually a quote from the French-American religious leader Stephen Grillet, born in 1773 and died in 1855. He said, "I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, I can do, or any kindness I can show to any creature, let me do it now. Let me not defer it, for I shall not pass this way again." Of course, our Groundhog creed reads, "I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to my fellow creatures, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again." So you see, our lodge has used the wisdom of the Groundhog and Stephen Grillet since the late 1700s to profess to the world that the creed of our lodge. No other Groundhog lodge can boast of this type of accomplishment. No other lodge can bring forth the wisdom of Poor Richard. This is why our lodge has a memorial poem as an ode to Poor Richard. And the ode of Poor Richard is, "Somewhere beyond the sunset, where friendship never dies, you live in the land of glory, with the blue and gold of the skies. We who have shared your fellowship will carry on your happy ways, promote the spirit of brotherly love, and cherish your memories always."
Lovely. Lovely.
I can't
That's
wait.
actually very cool because now I know that you and your lovely wife Marianne are lovers of animals, and this includes all animals, not just groundhogs, right? And of course, your daughter Nicole and her husband Ben. You got friggin' animal farm over there
I do.
within your beautiful new condo in Long Beach, but with dogs and cats and whatever else.
Fish and
And
frogs.
fish and frogs, yeah. And then, with me and us and fostering and that sort of thing, I mean, and of course you and Maybelline. Oh, Maybelline's.
I used to have a pet squirrel and I had a
Oh,
pet alligator.
thank you, John. I'm
before.
very, I'm
I
very,
love
very.
Give that to you.
Yeah,
Every
I
Groundhog
thought it was a
Day you
rat.
can review it.
Well, I'll
But
just call in
it's squirrel.
because I live in the concrete jungle. I don't know where the hell I'd find. Maybe over in Stoner Park I could find a hole. So let me.
Well, you don't have to. Poor Richard up in hog heaven.
But let me ask you this
That's
though.
true, you just
Poor
have to
Richard.
get-
What's a groundhog's life expectancy? Do we know?
No.
I mean, who found poor Richard? Was he like? Did they have to go down the hole to find him, or did he come up and pass away? I mean,
They're all
I mean, with
around.
all due respect to poor Richard.
I don't know. You did hear that 2 years ago I was electrocuted.
Well, I was going to get to that. I was hoping that you'd bring it up so I wouldn't have to ask
Mhm.
because you were electrocuted at an RV show.
Yeah.
You
And
want
I
to tell
went
us
into
about it?
cardiac arrest.
And they thought it was a heart attack, right?
Well,
Or
they didn't know what it was, but it was cardiac arrest. I was dead. And my wife, who knows CPR, she came out. I was thrown around 7 feet.
No
Yeah.
kidding. Okay, well, set the setting for us. You're at an RV
Well,
show,
yeah, it's raining. It's pouring. We have our umbrellas.
outdoor show.
I ended up in Hershey. It's the largest RV show in the East, and it was pouring rain. I had my boat shoes on, no socks, and they were soaking wet already. My umbrella's soaking wet. It stopped raining. It stopped, and it stopped for a while. So we were looking at RVs, and my wife went inside this RV with the salesman, talked to him about something. And I went around the bottom front of it and around the side, came around the back, and I don't know if you're familiar with these metal ramps that they put the wires,
They put them
cables on-
under.
cables
so you can,
underneath it
like,
so you
step-
don't
yeah.
get over.
Mhm.
I went up on that and I put my wet umbrella down because I have a stability problem with my walking, and all of a sudden I felt heat and vibration coming at me from the left.
Mm.
I turned to look to see what it was, and that's the last I know. I was thrown about 7 feet. I was dead. Purple, gurgling, wet myself. I was dead. And someone hollered, "Hey, man down out here." And my wife went to the door with the salesman. It was me. And she immediately came down and started CPR. And then another lady came along, helped her with the compressions while she did the breathing. And the salesman, he got on his golf cart to go get the EMTs, which were worthless. They were in line for lunch. It was around 11:45 when this happened. They didn't want to come out of line.
You are friggin' kidding me.
called an ambulance. The ambulance got there before the EMTs. Anyway, by that time,
EMTs.
she had revived me. So I tell that story on our dinner on February 2nd in the evening in the Groundhog Lodge. And this Groundhog Lodge is at the Elks Lodge in York. Okay? There's no other Elks Lodge that has a Groundhog Lodge anywhere. And anyway, she revived me. And so that dinner meeting, I told everybody what I'm telling you now. And I said, I was dead, I was on my way to the pearly gates. And all of a sudden, a roadblock, hundreds and thousands of groundhogs. And there was poor Richard.
I was going to ask you if you saw
And poor
With a
Richard comes
bullwhip.
up to me and says, Exalted Hibernator John, turn around and go back. I'm leaving February 2nd. Well, the crowd roared.
Well, we're glad you're
God.
okay.
Now, can I ask you a question? Because I read a book about this, about being, because I believe it. I lived on a lake, and this guy got electrocuted a few times. I actually got struck by lightning a few times. Did you have any side effects or any effects afterwards, or did you just?
Well, actually, it was a godsend. I spent 6 days at Hershey Hospital, Hershey Medical Center, which is a Penn State affiliate.
Mhm.
And they found that I had 100% blockage in one of my arteries.
Oh, yeah.
But there was 3 auxiliary arteries that grew around it.
What?
So they said that would never cause a
Muted.
heart attack.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
He
That's
grew new
amazing.
arteries.
The other artery would
The
be
Wow.
40%
human body.
blockage, and they just give you medication for that.
Okay, you had 100% blockage in one of your arteries, but new arteries grew around.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. What luck.
That's kind of like.
That doesn't happen very often, does it?
Well, that does happen, though.
That's
Wow.
amazing. Well,
Yeah.
because you have had heart issues, you know,
Not blockages.
Not
rhythm
blockages,
issues.
rhythm issues.
That's-
That's
My sister has.
Cucamonga,
Yeah.
Wow.
like a case study kind of thing. I remember when you had that one time, like your mom, she was such a sweetheart.
I have the chip in my chest right now. It's not a defibrillator. It's not a pacemaker. It's a chip. In fact, tomorrow morning, I have to take this. Looks like a telephone. I have to press the button, and then the screen lights up, and it tells me to lift this phone up and put it against my chest, and then it starts reading all the stuff that
Is it your own phone or is it a special
It's a
device?
special phone.
Mhm.
And
Wow,
it
technology.
reads everything that's on that chip for the month, and then tells me to put it back down. Then it actually transferred via phone to Hershey Medical Center. Once a month, I do that.
Wow.
Now it's only good for 3 years, so next year, probably before September, I'll have to have it removed. But I didn't have a heart attack.
How long were you-
If I had a heart attack
Wow.
or anything, it would automatically send that notification to Hershey.
Well, see, guys, I remember when Nicole called me and was telling me what happened. That's what they said they were saying was a heart attack, but she said no. You were certain that you were electrocuted. That was before they had come to
Couldn't prove it.
the conclusion.
The rain dried up by the time,
How long does Marianne tell you, how long you were out?
That-
Like when
I
they were
really don't
administering
know.
CPR?
they don't know. It probably felt like an hour to my wife. To me,
I see, I
I
can't
didn't know
imagine.
anything.
We were watching.
except those poor groundhogs up there in Hog Heaven.
We were watching Orange Is the New Black, which is like crack. We were just discussing.
Uh-huh.
But there's a scene where they're doing something electrical, and the girl gets shocked and goes. And I was saying how on Miami Beach, there was a refrigerator in our apartment that something happened. It was ungrounded, and I touched it, and I didn't go flying, but I mean,
You got
it
shocked,
hurt.
yeah.
It hurt, and I remember I probably went up 2 inches off the ground.
And I went all the way down to your toes into that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I've had it where I was stuck
Well,
to
I
the
didn't
thing.
feel
I
that
couldn't
at
let go
all.
of it,
Really?
and I was stuck to it.
We're
Yeah.
talking about electrical stuff, Kathy.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay.
it was electrifying. Electrifying.
She ain't even trying. I've been into a live wire once.
I
Oh
was
my
no way.
God.
It was
It was
nothing
just
like him.
A
I'm a
blackout.
wire.
It threw me around 7 or 8 feet.
Wow. Well, we're glad that you're here to
I'm
tell
glad
us
to be
about it.
here, thanks to my wife, my lovely wife.
What I was going to say is when Nicole had that one time, this is what, 10 years ago plus, when you had that surgery, you were at UCLA. And your mom and I, we were waiting, and your mom was just like lovely. We had lunch and we talked about everything under the sun and this and that. And then we went and we were waiting, and I was kind of sitting there like falling asleep, and your mom was reading Reader's Digest or something. And I'll never forget, because when the doctor came out and he said, Mrs. Fedor, and your mother, it was just like the most living Jack in the Box I've ever seen. Because your mom was just like And I was like, and she said, and she went woo and came down flat on her feet and turned around and was just waiting to hear about her baby. What I'm saying, it was very sweet.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I guess that was kind of like she looked like she had been shocked too. She was like, really, dude? So tell us about now. Yeah, Nicole contacted me last night and she said, Dad wants to know where you can park because you have a 22-foot. He drives a 22-foot Ford truck with your with a 5-wheel RV, which we used to call trailers.
Fifth wheel.
Fifth wheel. Excuse me. And that's the kind, for those of you that have seen out on the interstate, it's those big ass glorious trucks with the beautiful RV on the back that hooks into the. Does that double as where you can stick an American flag when you're driving around too? That fifth wheel in the center.
You'd have to have a pretty thick pole.
Now that's a big ass truck. Now you had a Navigator truck before that. What do they call that? The Navigator.
I had a Lincoln
Right.
Mark LT.
Mark LT.
Yeah.
That was the Navigator truck. Right.
That was not Navigator. Navigator is their.
But I mean, it was the Navigator interior and all that with it. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they were really cool. They were only around for a couple of years.
Oh,
Now this, what kind of is it? Diesel or regular gas?
this is diesel.
Diesel. And what do you get to the gallon in that thing when you're towing?
Well, this new RV I have is the dry weight of it is 14,223 pounds. With everything put in it, I'm pulling around 16 to 17,000 pounds.
Wow.
Okay, and
That's like a friggin' semi.
I'm getting about
That's
8.5
tonnage.
gallons to the, right now.
And what is it?
Oh my God.
A capacity
8.5 miles to the gallon, I should say.
on the on the expressway, interstate?
Does it
On the
use
way
regular
over
gas?
from York to Pennsylvania. to here.
What's your
I normally
how many
get around
tanks do you have and what's your
15.
capacity?
Well,
How many
The
gallons
capacity of
of fuel do you hold in that
the
thing?
capacity of the truck is 48 gallons. And I have an additional tank in there, 37 gallons into the bed. So I've got 85 gallons of fuel. It costs a lot around here to fill it up.
Seriously, it's ridiculous. What is it for a diesel around here? It's regular gas.
$4.09.
Regular gas is averages around $4. So, and for all of you in other parts of the world, we have no humidity and it's usually beautiful here all the time. So go screw yourself on the gas prices. Because I know in Tennessee it's already 100 degrees or like 100% humidity, and it's just now June. What's it like the weather like in Pennsylvania?
Well, right now it rained the last 2 days there, and it's going to be down to 40 tonight.
Where's
It's
York
not cold.
close to?
They've got
Harrisburg.
okay, well, close to
Center
Harrisburg,
of the
which is
state.
our state
Okay.
capital, but we're also close to Baltimore. We're only 30-minute drive to Baltimore,
Uh-huh.
south on Interstate
Mhm.
83. Interstate 83 actually ends in downtown Baltimore.
Now, I was born in now historic Levittown, Pennsylvania, and my father traveled all through the blah blah blah. But we used to go through that area all the time when we go to my grandmother's farm in Uniontown, Brownsville, outside of Uniontown. But I remember always now what that big flood was 70.
McConnellsville, down by McConnellsville.
Yeah, that McConnellsville, Uniontown, Brownsville. My dad was from Uniontown. My mom was from
Well,
Brownsville.
we've camped down there.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like stepping back in
the Ohio
time.
Pile, the river.
Now, when was the big when the what is the river that goes through there that you cross over on the Pennsylvania Turnpike? And 3 Mile Island. You can see 3 Mile Island from
That's
that
the Susquehanna River.
Susquehanna.
They're closing 3 Mile Island down this fall.
Really? Well, it's
Took
the
'em long
anniversary of the
That was a lot of
meltdown. That was
jobs.
77 or 74?
79.
79.
I
I
remember
remember the day it happened.
Really?
I worked
Must
in
be
retail at
scary.
the time, and I was off that day. It was a Wednesday, and actually Nicole was playing in the backyard. She was about this big, and my wife was out there doing some flowering, and I was working in my garden when it happened.
Tell us about it. I mean, what were
Well,
alarm? If you don't
It
mind,
was,
if it's
it was
not
very
too
strange. Nothing.
you know.
Nothing. I was working in retail, and I was working for People's Drugstores at the time, so I had to stay because we had to stay open. And the one pharmacist, Philomena Pippin, she lived closer to 3 Mile Island, and she sent her family up to Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area, up to Hazleton, where they're from originally, just to get away from it. But she came down and stayed with us that night. Well, we went up there to get her stuff, and it was very eerie.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like,
Everybody
you guys were out in the
took
yard
off.
flowering and all. I mean, but what did alarms go off, or did it come over? The television.
They had sirens going off, but we didn't know what they were about at the time. And but it was very strange because when we went to go pick her up all the lights around the houses and everything. People had just taken off and gone.
Yeah.
And we still had to
Fled.
open up the store and be there, for anybody who stayed. We stayed, and I really believe that the radiation caused Nicole's cancer, and my wife's breast cancer survivor also. And,
Well, see, I'm glad I'm glad you brought it
her
up
best
because I think
friend,
it's important to
Holly.
talk about, but I didn't want to bring it up until you guys did because I know you've had such issues with cancers and that sort of thing, and you told me a long time ago that you're firmly convinced it had to do with the 3 Mile Island incident.
Absolutely.
Yeah, how about Holly and her thyroid problem, right?
There's a huge incidence of cancer in
best
the York
friend.
County area. And me personally, Dad fished that river, not knowing, the effects of radiation years
Right.
later. We didn't know that back then, what
Sure.
the effects were going to be.
Had a boy
I
used
grew
to
up
love the
eating
river.
trout from that river.
Oh yeah,
And
that fish carry.
3 Mile Island has never been held responsible.
How can that be?
I don't
What
know.
isn't it the first nuclear plant in the country? 3 Mile Island, wasn't it? Or one of the
No, I don't think that was the first one.
that was 79, yeah.
It's they've got that miniseries.